Eric Holder says the quiet part out loud. Says media will work to boost Biden's poll numbers. We all know this. That's exactly why we don't trust the mainstream media. That's exactly why they try to censor people like us speaking truth. Because they're gonna, of course, they're gonna use the dinosaur media to push Biden to the masses. And this is the same Eric Holder that was behind Fast and Furious that gave drug cartels weapons, and then at the same time try to stop law-abiding Americans from owning weapons. This is that same Eric Holder. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this, but before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. Has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from Trending Politics, Cullen McHugh, and he reports that former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder dismissed concerns over Biden's poor poll numbers during an appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher on Friday evening. Who really cares? Yeah, who really cares about the poll numbers when Biden has control over the entire government and the lawfare apparatus to use it against anyone going against them? So they don't really care about those numbers. You know, I did a whole video pertaining to that earlier today, of how that's why they're not really worried about the election. But despite the fact that that Biden is consistently polling behind Trump in swing states, Holder is confident that his poll numbers will rise with assistance from the mainstream media. Maher pointed to the president's declining approval rating among historically reliable Democrat voting blocs. He said the fact that the Democrats, by every poll I read, I would just say losing their base. I mean, if you look at non-white working class voters, there has been a 61-point shift. So I'm not going to read the entire thing here. I'm just going to play the clip. Here. So let's check it out.
The fact that the Democrats, by every poll I read, are, I would just say, losing their base. I mean, if you look at non-white working class voters, there has been a 61-point shift. That's an incredible amount from 2012. That's in 12 years. Obama in 2012, when you were the Attorney General, I think won it by 67 points, that demographic. Biden won it by 48. Now he's only up by 6. What's going on there?
Well, I think first off, you're measuring March against November. We're looking at where people are right now. I think you'll probably see a movement with regard to working class people of all races towards Biden by the time you get to November. You're also
I don't think so. Because the closer we get to November, I think the worse the economy is going to get. And the worse the economy is going to get, the more people are going to blame Biden for it, and he's going to lose even more support. Because this economy is going to get a lot worse because of his policies. But they don't care, though. That's the thing. They do not care about any of that because they run the media. The media is going to say everything is great, and they run the FBI, the DOJ, they run the entire system to go against anyone that speaks contrary to that.
Comparing an unbelievably popular African American running for the first time and who really galvanized people, you know, in all strata of life. And so I think in some ways that's not a fair comparison. But I think we should not be too alarmed by these March polls. We've got to take them into consideration. But March is a fundamentally different month than October and November, and we'll see where these things turn out when we get to that part of the calendar year.
Okay, but
I mean, the deal is there's work to be done, but I'm actually optimistic that if we stay committed, focused, and as the media turns its attention to making this a binary choice between a person who's got some age and cognitive issues, that would be Trump, against somebody who is actually...
Wow. So Trump has the cognitive issues. Even though we see all the stuff going on with Biden, him fumbling and bumbling around, but yet Trump has the cognitive issues. Come on now. Classic projection, classic Projection. That's what all Democrats do.
Against somebody who has actually accomplished a lot, I think we'll do just fine. And what you said in the monologue was really good, though. I mean, Trump's popularity rating is higher now than it ever was during his presidency. It's like, hey, America, remember? People they're saying, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? You damn right we are. So, like, let's not.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No one believes that. No one believes that we are better off now than when Trump was in office. Nobody believes that unless you are part of that 1%, unless you are establishment, which Eric Holder is. That's why he believes we are better off.
Lose sight of the chaos, the corruption, and all the negative things that Donald Trump meant and put a good man back in the White House.
Ridiculous. And the sycophants clapping. The former attorney general added that Barack Obama was, quote, an extremely and unbelievable popular African-American running for the first time and dismissing concerns over Biden's decline in popularity among black voters. He then suggested that Biden's poll numbers will rise thanks to the help from the mainstream media. He concluded by saying that the Americans will look back on the Trump years and conclude that they are better off now than they were then, and an assertion that defies months of polling data showing dissatisfaction with Biden's policies, particularly on the economy. Friday was not the first time Holder has said the quiet part out loud. After Trump was indicted by Alvin Bragg back in June, Holder told MSNBC's Jen Psaki that the indictments will have an electoral effect. And I'm not gonna read it. I'll just play it here. Here's the clip. Let's check this out.
So Donald Trump was back on the campaign trail yesterday. He said he would stay in the race for president even if he's convicted in this case. I know there's not a lot of precedent here, but when you consider that possibility, what concerns you the most?
Well, the notion that you could have a trial, defendant be convicted, somehow win the election, be sworn in as president, or whenever it happens, that seems inconsistent with our notion of fairness, of the rule of law. At that point, I would hope that an impeachment proceeding might be considered, not only considered, brought, and ultimately he would be removed from office. The notion that a convicted felon would serve as president of the United States is absurd. It is simply absurd.
Wow.
So if he is convicted, he's still running. You think there should be an impeachment hearing, impeachment proceedings in Congress, and that could be a step they could take there.
Yeah, I mean, that's assuming that he's convicted, and that's assuming that he wins the election. I think that people have underestimated the impact.
Even if Trump wins, they will not stop coming after this man, which is unfortunate for us. It's unfortunate for this country, but the deep state will not stop coming for him.
Of this indictment, the one in Manhattan, the two others that I expect, one in Georgia, the January 6th one that I suspect will likely be placed in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm not a political pundit, but I think at some point you certainly won't get beyond, the Trump cult base. But for people who are on the fringes of that, on the outside of that, are likely to be negatively impacted by all of these cases brought against the former president. And I think that that'll have some electoral effect. And so the likelihood that he'll be able to survive this and win a general election, I think is pretty small.
I think they're planning some type of black swan event, like I said in my previous video. That's why they feel so assured that Trump will not win. But let me know what you think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.